Good morning everyone, welcome to a new vlog. Today I am dressed as a fairy and I'm thinking we should all dress as a fairy more often. I think all our lives would be better for it if we did. But today I'm doing it because we are off to the Glastonbury, I think it's known actually as the Avalon Fairy Fayre in Glastonbury. And it's really weird. The last time I went to Glastonbury was in February 2020, which feels like such a long time ago. I actually had a stall there. I don't know if you were watching my vlog then when I was doing it, but I've filmed here before if you've been around for a while, but obviously the fair has been cancelled and I think this is the first one where everyone has got back together, because it's the sort of place where people meet each other year after year, and so there's just that really nice friendly atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing all the craft fairs and maybe keeping a lookout for Christmas presents. That's always a nice place to do that. So I thought I'd take you along with this. It's just me and Rain going today, and I hope you enjoy watching. There's a lady up here wearing a shawl I made. It's just so cool.
I wish I could do ceramic.
That's amazing.
Gosh, it's a four-horned one. It's four-horned.
Wow. In real life, it's often quite difficult to find like-minded people to connect with. And that is the most wonderful thing about the internet, because it brings people closer together that you wouldn't ordinarily meet. And I feel extra lucky to have this fairy event just down the road from us a couple of times a year, every year. And even though I'm too shy to chat to most people, it's just a nice feeling, a nice atmosphere to be surrounded by people who also love fairies and enjoy dressing up as a fairy. It's happened again, folks. Look behind me. Look at the state of my desk. I don't know what happened, but actually this time I do have a bit of an excuse. I had to clear up all my painting stuff off of the dining room table so that we could actually use it, and I mainly just dumped it on my desk. So I'm going to tackle some of that this evening, but I'm determined to really, I feel like this room really needs a proper sort out. So this week I'll be doing that. And yeah, do you remember when how long ago was it now? Do you remember when I brought up all my craft stuff from downstairs? Well, that's still not really sorted. So this is what it is, the other side of the camera. And then it sort of got to that point where, you know, I brought stuff in, and so yeah, none of that is still properly done, but I have been doing the odd bit here and there. On my desk, yeah, I can see some of this will be easy to put away. The painting bits and bobs can fit in my painting drawer. Not quite sure what to do about these tubs that were on top of the chest of drawers before I brought up my craft things. And also I need to make these look pretty. I think I need to get some of my paper around these pots. I don't necessarily want to be thinking of dry roasted peanuts or cocoa powder whenever I'm reaching for a paintbrush. And I think I'm going to turn up my notebooks rather than stacking them like that. I think I'm going to put them on their sides, on their ends, and prop them up. And I don't know whether that will make more space or less space, but I might give it a try. Do I show you what the rest of the room looks like? No. the floor is pretty bad because the dog keeps coming in and messing up my piles of stuff on the floor. Okay, let's get started. Well, that's an improvement, isn't it? I know it's not brilliant. I know it's not brilliant. But we're getting there. My problem is lots of little bits of paper with little reminders on. Look, all of these here. I write little notes and then I never remember to transfer them to the proper notebook. I want to get this on a timer, this little salt rock lamp that my sister-in-law bought me. Because that does a really nice glow, particularly at this time of year. It's nice and comforting. Yeah, the books work quite well upright like that instead of stacked, and that does mean actually that I've ended up with sort of a bit more space, but I've still got this stack of papers that was here originally, these to sort through. I made a start and recycled a load of bits and pieces, but yeah, that still needs some work. I need somewhere to keep this ugly lighter, perhaps in my drawer. Yeah, and actually some of these notebooks can be filed away now. I mean, I've got last year's list book here. I don't need that really to hand. I think 2 previous years' bullet journals are here. I don't need those to hand anymore. So, yeah, we can definitely slim down the notebooks. Believe it or not. So now that I've made it all tidy, you know, ish on my scale of tidy, I'm now going to make it all messy again because I'm going to carry on with my art journal for our Oxford trip. I want to get Oxford done so I can move on to London. Right, I'm just packing up the very last of my collection of velvet cloaks. I don't know if you were watching back then when I made these, but oh my goodness, they were difficult. I mean, it seems so simple. It's just 6 pieces. 2 pieces for the hood, 2 pieces for the, 1 piece for the main bit of cloak, and the lining to match. And you'd think that wouldn't be too hard. Oh my god, I think it's because the lining of course is thin and the velvet is thick. That just made it extremely difficult to do. This was a thinner velvet actually. The black one, this last black one, was not as difficult as the ones that I used the vintage velvet for. Oh, I just need to go and get a pair of scissors. So here's my little note. I've got a little star hole punch that I use to put in the corner. I'm including all this because I think people are a little bit fascinated actually as to how people flip package up their orders. So then I slip in the note through the hole there and then tie a bow. And of course my packaging matches my business card, which I then slip under there. So yeah, I won't be making any more cloaks, so I'm sorry if you've just seen them and have missed out, but really, I don't know, I didn't charge enough money for most of them, to be honest. I definitely made a loss on them, I think. The cost of the fabric and the amount of time they took to make, and the new velvet ribbon that I had to buy for the to join the hood. It just turned out it just wasn't worth it. Yeah. I'm glad they've all gone to nice new homes where they're going to be appreciated, but they didn't make me any money, unfortunately. It's one of those things, like, I didn't really realise how much people charged for cloaks in shops until a friend of mine, Claire, pointed out that actually in Glastonbury, if you go in one of their shops, they're sort of fairy tale, pagan, if you were going to buy a cloak from there, you'd be looking at around £100 for modern, cheap, thin polyester. So yeah, I should have just charged more, I think, and risked having to hold on to them for a bit longer. Right, okay, I've just got the address to do now, and then this can go down to the post office. So this is the picture I've been using as my source of inspiration, and that's one attempt. That was with watercolours, and then I've just had a go just to see what would happen at putting in the mine afterwards with watercolour pencils. Obviously didn't work at all, so I'm just going to go over the top right now with paint. I think I managed to rescue it a little. Yeah, actually, that didn't work out too badly. I might use pencils more in the future for just giving me guidelines at the beginning. I mean, now it doesn't quite sit in the landscape particularly well, but yeah, kind of works. So I've been having a discussion with one of my patrons about breaking the blank page. She's struggling at the moment and she asked for my advice on how to do it for both writing and art. So I tried to give some advice there, and I thought it would be a good thing to talk about here, and hopefully I'll be able to help someone out, I don't know. So let's start with writing, because we are now in November. It is National Novel Writing Month. NaNoWriMo. If you see people talking about NaNoWriMo, that's what it stands for. And I completed this in, oh, let me check. I think it was 2014 I did this. And it's a challenge to write 50,000 words in 1 month. So basically a short novel, really. And yeah, I did it. I didn't quite finish the novel, which is when you hear me talk about the novel I'm writing, this is the one, and that's when I started it. And I did about 3/4 in the 50,000 words. Actually, I think I actually went to 67,000 words in the month, but I didn't know it at the time because I was handwriting it, and now I've typed it all up. I can use the word count on the computer, so I know exactly how many I've done, and so I was pretty chuffed with that. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because if you want to write a novel and are just scared to, don't know where to start, I highly recommend doing NaNoWriMo. And it's not too late to start. I didn't start it until about the 5th of November, 6th maybe even. And it was a very spur of the moment thing. My daughter mentioned it. I think she'd done it the year before, or at least had attempted to do it. And I can't remember, I think she might have been revisiting it that year as well. And she was talking about it, and I thought, do you know what, I have a vague idea for a story. I'll give it a go. And I just did it. I just did it without thinking about it. Now, if you're prepared, you will have spent October planning ready for November, possibly even sooner than that. You know, you can get your characters prepared, you can get your plot prepared, and done any research you need to do in advance, so you're ready to go. And I think that would be, that's possibly the ideal way to do it. It all depends on what suits you, but if you are struggling to get started on writing, it probably means you are scared for it not to be very good. Perhaps you're a perfectionist, or perhaps you fear that whatever you write isn't going to be good enough. Well, the great thing about NaNoWriMo is, no, it isn't. Of course it's not going to be good enough. This is your shitty first draft. As I think it's Anne Lamott. I think that's the author that I have a book written by her. I can't remember. I'll have to do another video another time of books I recommend if you want to be a writer. The first draft is going to be rubbish. It just is. You know, I say that. I belong to a writers group in the village, and there aren't many of us, and there are 3 or 4 in our group that are amazing. They just write and it's perfect straight away. Most people aren't like that. I'm definitely not like that. And the thing about when you're trying to produce how many words each day, I know this as well, let me check. I wrote a blog post about this in 2016 if you want to go and have a look at when I grow up blog.com and do a little NaNoWriMo search in the search bar. Oh, I've written 2 posts on it. I wrote one at the time as well. 50,000 divided by 30. The challenge is to write 1,667 words per day. Now for me, I write about 300 words per page. And it doesn't seem to matter whether that's an A4 page or an A5 page. Although the lines are quite spaced out, I don't know if 300 words would fit on that page actually, but my writing is quite small. So you're looking at, so about 5.5 sides of writing, for me anyway. I've got quite small writing a day, and you just probably, unless you do it from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, if you've got any sort of job as well or family commitments, you are going to just have to write that and not think about it. You've got no time to edit, you've got no time to think. You just put your pen down, or if you're typing, you just get typing, and you don't have time to read it back, you don't have time to analyse it, you don't have time to worry about whether or not it's good enough. You just start writing and you stop when you've done your 1,667 words, which you can count if you're doing it on the computer. So I would say if you're trying to break a blank page with writing, give this a go. Even if you don't aim for that many words, if you're not even trying to write a novel, you just want to get your writing skills going again, I would challenge you to at least fill 2 or 3 sides with writing every day, even if it's not for a novel, if it's for a short story, or if you're trying to write some poetry or prose poetry. Just do it. Don't think about it, don't read it back. Leave that for another time. Just every single day get those words down, and if there's a challenge going on like this, then it sort of gets you to do it. There's loads of people around the world. It's national, but it's actually international. And the website that runs it, there's like groups where people can chat and support each other, and there's people that can help you if you have any if you have any questions that need answering. Like if you need to know what the doctor does when you go for an operation or whatever, then hopefully there'll be someone on there that can help you out. So it's really useful actually, and you just feel like you're taking, and also not only that, you can probably find somewhere near you where there are writers running NaNoWriMo meetups, and so you meet in a cafe or a pub or somewhere, and everyone just sits down, gets their books out or their laptops out and gets going, and you're doing it all together. You've got that accountability. So that's one way of doing it as well. So do let me know if you're going to do it. It really does break that barrier, and it's amazing what comes into your head when you're writing. Now for me that has to be with a pen, and if you're struggling with the typing, try it with a pen. I don't know what it is, it's like some magic or other that happens. I'm not saying my writing is magic, but the ideas come to me when I'm using a pen and the ink is flowing. It sort of gets my ideas flowing, and as I'm writing, the idea for the next chapter comes into my head, or the next scene, and it just, I rarely got stuck. I honestly, and I just thought, well, I don't think this idea is any good, but I'm going to write it anyway. And then what you do is, once you're finished, obviously, then you have to go back and edit, and then of course that's when you turn the rubbish writing into good writing. And even if there's a whole scene or chapter that doesn't fit into the plot that you later refine, there's probably something you can take from it, like just a conversation or a setting or a description or something that you can put into the finished product. And yeah, so that's my little thing about NaNoWriMo. Gosh, I'm looking up in the screen there, and I'm literally only lit up by my computer screen. The light is going outside, the clocks have just changed, and I wasn't prepared for it to get dark so early. Anyway, back on track, Helen. Downsides of NaNoWriMo. Right, well, there are a couple of things to be aware of that I shall mention. Of course, your social life will go out the window. Anything you wanted to do around the house is out the window. You'll have to probably work your lunch hour if you're in a full-time job, and it really is difficult to get that number of words down every single day. So be aware of that. And also, I don't know if it was entirely the right thing for me. I had written 3 other novels before, and those 3 I wrote in the same manner, more or less. I would write a chapter without stopping to think about it, or trying to stop and look back at it. Then I would use another pen and I would edit that chapter as I went. And so I wasn't left with such a big mammoth task of editing. Editing chapter by chapter, you're ending up with a pretty good book by the end of it. Whereas one of the reasons why I think this book is taking me so flipping long to do is I had a long period of time where I'd finished writing the book, but I just couldn't face starting the edit because there was just so much to do, and I knew a lot of it was all written down in a hurry. You know, I've got to get these words down, I've got to get these words, and wasn't sure whether the plot properly flowed or not because I'd done no plot planning, I'd done none of that sort of stuff that you're meant to do when writing a book, and that still is what's slowing me down now. I'm thinking, gosh, there's still so much to do. So I kind of, in a way, wish I hadn't done NaNoWriMo in quite the way that I did it. I think I would have been better off doing it, but still stopping to edit, and not perhaps halving the number of words I was aiming for, but getting that edit in as I went. So that's one thing to be aware of. But if you are one of these people that, like the people I know that just write brilliantly first time, then go for it, definitely, 100%. And the other thing, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh my gosh, what was the other thing? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the other thing I was going to say. And it was the first thing I was going to say, and then the other thing came into my head, and now I can't remember. So I'll have to add that in voiceover whilst I show you some clips of me sitting down to write, or something like that. Oh no. Okay, so the other negative is that it takes place in November, which I think is the worst time of year to start something, because you finish it in November, and then December, if you're anything like me, you are just spending the whole month dealing with Christmas, the upcoming Christmas. If you have young children at school, then it will be making nativity costumes, going to all the Christmas events and the school Christmas fair, and There is always so much going on at Christmas time, so your writing ends up going completely by the wayside, and then January comes around and you've kind of forgotten what it was you were doing back at November. And so that was what I struggled with as well. I didn't get back into it straight away, and you kind of need to. You need to get on and finish it. If you didn't finish, you need to find that motivation after Christmas, and that gap is really difficult. If you're not that busy at Christmas, then it's fine. Just keep going through December. Don't stop. And I would recommend, even if you only have 10 minutes each day, read over a little bit of what you've written to keep those characters in mind, because I found like I forgot names of characters, I forgot what sort of character development I thought of at the time or whatever it is. So yeah, you've got to find that motivation in January to begin again if you've had a break over Christmas, and that's hard. So if you're doing this, let me know and I will cheer you on in the new year. You can do this. Okay, so moving on to breaking the blank page with art. Now this is a bit trickier for me. With writing, I'm used to writing it a bit rubbish first time and then going back and improving it. With art, it's a bit harder to do that. You can't just do one layer of a painting, realise it's rubbish, and then do another layer unless you're working in acrylics, which I suppose you can kind of do. But there are still limits. If you're going to change the whole composition, you may as well start again. So my advice for breaking the blank page with art, to get you going, is to break away from trying to produce a masterpiece. Instead, use art, and this is what I've been doing to help me, is use art as a way of just... I did a video, I think it was last week, my art for self-care video. I'm just using art to help me relax, help me wind down. It's a form of oh, I've just changed the screen, and because I couldn't remember the word for mindfulness, and now I'm all lit by autumny colours because I'm looking at autumn pictures. Shall I leave the warmth on there? Yeah, let's. Make me look suntan or autumny sun glow. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my brain. Focus. Mindfulness. Yeah, use art like mindfulness. Listen to the swish of the paintbrush in the water. Watch the paint as you swirl the brush and feel it as you brush it onto the paper. Honestly, that's what I love about, well, that's what I mean, that, to be honest, that's partly why I love writing. I just love the process of the ink flowing from the pen. I really do. And art is almost like an extension of that, but you're creating something different. So I would say just maybe have a picture in mind, but then just go for it. Just enjoy creating colours, blending colours, whatever sort of art medium you're using. Just do it, and do it as though, if you want to get good at it, if you want to produce something that you're pleased with, the only thing you can do is keep doing it. And I don't know the name of the photographer. If you do, please put it in the description below, but there is a famous photographer's quote that was just, your first 10,000 photos will be your worst, something along those lines. In other words, you've got to take 10,000 photos to get to a good photo, you know, to get good. And it's the same with art. If you want to get good at drawing, you have to draw every day and not be scared of it. And I think that sort of helps me with my art as well, because I'm, as well as the mindfulness aspect, which I really love and I really enjoyed that, I would kind of like to get to a place where I'm producing paintings I'm really proud of. So I know I've just got to do it, because it's not going to happen on its own. I'm not going to suddenly draw a picture and it's amazing and thought, great, that could go for sale on Etsy. You know, I've got to keep going. And it's like with every picture that I produce that I'm not happy with, that's a bit rubbish, I think, well, that's okay, that's just adding up to my 10,000 pictures before I get to the good one. It's just another one to put on the pile, and when that pile gets this high of pictures I've painted, then, you know, they will be getting better by then. So the only thing you can do is just do it and keep going and keep going and keep going, knowing that you're adding to your pile of rubbish pictures because you're going to get to the top of that pile and then you're going to produce pictures that you are liking and being proud of, and what you have in your mind, because of course we always start with wanting to be good at something, and it is really frustrating when we're not, so we just have to go for it. So that would be my advice. Just keep drawing, keep painting until you get and just think, that's okay, that's rubbish, fine, that goes on the pile of 10,000, and I'll keep going and I'll keep going, and then yeah. Right, I have totally lost the light, and I know if as soon as I put this light on I'm going to hate what I see in the viewfinder. I know it. This is the worst. This is the vlogger's nightmare about winter. You just have to remember you've got a tiny amount of time in the day to film and get reasonably good lighting. So I'm going to stop there. I'm also getting reflections on my glasses from a screen, and I've been nattering on. So let me know in the comments if you are working at becoming the artist you want to be, or if you're gonna have a go at NaNoWriMo, or have that mentality anyway of just write. It doesn't matter if it's rubbish. You go back later and you make it good. And the best thing with writing is you can keep going back, you keep going back, change that word for a better word, change that sentence for a better sentence, and you can just do that and it doesn't matter, and no one needs to see a shitty first draft. Yeah. Wow, I hope you haven't minded all this waffling on. I'll see you again soon. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you would like to see my art journey, hit the word journey, I am sharing my process of the paintings and drawings and things that I'm trying to practice more and more of. I'm sharing those on Patreon. So if you'd like to go see those, then it's just patreon.com/Helen Hobden, and you can find me there. Okay, take care everyone, and have a lovely magical week. See you soon. Bye.